showtime!
I have been thinking a lot about level 100 lately. Definitely not because we're getting it anytime soon, because I don't think we are. But whenever a new character comes out, the concept of crowning their abilities comes up a lot. You know, you have a lot of people who are super fans of the character and they want to crown all 3 abilities, even if it makes absolutely no sense. Even though my physiological reaction to someone telling me that they're about to crown literally any ability of Chi-Chi's is some chest pain, a numb left arm, and shortness of breath, I'm also the first person to tell them that they should just do whatever they want and they should have fun with the game. The reason that makes me think about level 100 though is because for a long time we've obviously had data mined tables of skills and they all go to level 15. And plus level 90 is a pretty awkward level to end it on. It's not like games haven't ended on awkward levels before, but you know, level 90 would piss a lot of people off. People want that clean triple digits, that 100. It already bothers enough people in my comments seeing on my level like 81s and 79s and 69s that I think enough people just hate that we are currently stuck at 90 as a max level instead of just going to that 100. It's pretty safe to assume though that when and if we do get 100, that will also come with another Ascension, whether we get Ascension stats from that or not. Level 12 on the other hand for abilities is something we can already see that we will have, or at least they plan to add. Right now for the time being we get 1 crown per patch on each major event of the patch cycle. According to the wiki, that has amounted to a total of 18 crowns that we have been able to obtain since the game's launch. Compare that to the 47 playable characters we currently have, the 141 abilities they possess that potentially need to be crowned, and it's, a grim picture, I guess. Obviously, a staggering majority of these characters' abilities do not need to be crowned, even if you do plan on playing them. However, there's one thing that you learn when you start doing YouTube for Genshin is that you can insult something completely stupid like physical DPS albedo and you'll get that one person in the comments being like, you have no idea how good my physical albedo clears world level 6 Pyro Registine. And what that tells you is that there is somebody out there crowning every ability no matter how dumb you think it is. And that's fine, I'm not insulting you if you do. When the inevitable day comes, and I hope it does come, that we do get level 100 and the next Ascension that allows us to upgrade our talents, that means crowns will be more valuable than they ever were. Optimistically, I like to think that we will definitely not need crowns for talents level 11 and 12, but the crown for 10 will remain, and that will act as an unlock for the next 2 talents, which will mean crowns will be more valuable than they ever were before. 3 talent levels total is a massive boost in power, a lot more than most artifact upgrades will give you as long as your artifacts aren't complete garbage due to butter. Which, let's be honest, is the lived reality of literally everyone who spends every waking moment in the Crimson Witch domain.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
Talents, on the other hand, they are a very safe way to upgrade your power, especially when 3 of them are at stake. Even though it may take approximately 17 years to actually farm a talent up to 10 because the talent book drop rates are so abysmal, you can at least count on them to some degree. You know that you're walking out with progress on a talent instead of crippling depression and what is soon to be 1/3 of a piece of noblesse oblige. I think it's safe to say that in the hypothetical day when 100 comes, that the difficulty of the game overall is probably going to go up considerably. If you really want to just have a serious overdose on copium, you can also guess that we might get a harder version of the Abyss or more floors on the Abyss or just any upgrade to the Abyss that isn't just saying, oh, that dog that had 1,000,000 HP, oh now it has 2,000,000 HP. Let's be real though. It's gonna be the last one. And it's in that hellish world where we will need to scrounge as much power as we can to deal with those insane health enemies in the Abyss. And talent levels will be a big part of that because they always are. They're consistent, they're reliable, they're tangible upgrades you can get in a reasonable amount of time without any RNG. Well, minimal RNG. What this should do is emphasize the importance of crowns for when this time comes. Since we almost always get at least minimum 1 new character per patch, and sometimes even more than that, that means that the percentage of abilities we can crown overall in the entire roster is going to keep going down and down and down and down. And while not everyone owns every character because that's some pretty whale territory stuff, and a staggering majority of people are free to play, or at least at the bare minimum Welkin Moon Battle Pass owners, you would still theoretically want at least as many crowns as possible for your main Spiral Abyss / progression teams. And me personally, I always like to have a little stock of crowns on hand just in case they release a new character or two that I really like. But even then, I don't quite go to the degree that a lot of people do. As much as I like Ito, and I love Ito a lot, as any longtime viewer of this channel knows, I did not and do not intend to triple crown him. I did double crown him. I crowned his burst and his attack, but Ushi, for the meteor that he is, I did not crown him because that's a little too much investment in one character and it's really not necessary. My Ito is already doing an insane amount of damage. More than this game requires, so for me, I'd rather have that crown for somebody else. And in case you wondered what my thought process of how I spend my crowns is, here it is whether you asked for it or not. If I take a character I really love to play like Child, for example, I crowned his skill. His skill is what he's doing almost all the time. Sure, his burst is good and does some good damage, but the skill is the center and what makes him him. And another good example in the opposite direction is Kazuha, another character I love, one of my absolute favorite to play, and I include him in almost every and any party I can, but I have not and will not crown anything because Swirl is what is doing almost all of his damage. Crowning his ability will add more damage, but a very small amount. And when I actually see account reviews from other creators of their fans, one of the most common things I actually see is a triple crowned Kazuha, which is likely an indicator that they're building damage and not elemental mastery like they should be. Or they just really like Kazuha, because again, that's a thing people do. They triple crown characters that they love, even if they don't make any sense. Now don't get me wrong, Kazuha will be doing a little bit of flat damage that isn't Swirl. That doesn't mean you should crown it. I think you should get the talent to like maybe level 6 or 8, depending on the amount of resources you have just readily available. Just crowning it, any of his abilities, isn't something I would recommend. Even though you don't often see people on the street corner of the internet screaming, why? Why can't I complete the abyss with my triple crown Barbara and triple crown Goro? I'm sure they still exist, and I'd like to think they're also self-aware enough to know the damage they've done to their account investing so many resources into something that's just not rewarding. There are other significant aspects of level 100 though. For example, everyone who has leveled all their characters level 90, which is a lot of people, have prepared for this event. Me, on the other hand, I have not. I am woefully unprepared. Should we be fortunate enough to hear about this news well in advance, I'm basically gonna have to spend a whole patch cycle just doing experience book ley lines to make up for this, but I am completely okay with that because for the time being, those characters are still earning experience, whereas if I took them to 90, they're not, and plus I have every single character. I do my best to level them all. I want to level them all, but I can't because I do not refresh 6 times a day because that is just absurd. I do not have that much money to waste. There's also boss materials, you know, the weekly boss materials. I think a lot of people at this point have probably stopped farming Storm Terror and like the Wolf and probably even Child in them if you've been playing for a long time like me. Me, on the other hand, even though I have 40 of some of these materials, I am still going because when 100 comes, the amount of materials we're going to need is probably going to go up exponentially if we still need them. They could just introduce entirely new bosses and make everyone require new materials, but who knows? I'm going to err on the side of caution and just keep farming these bosses until I can no longer fit any more into my inventory. I'm just going to be like a crazy doomsday prepper with a cellar full of Storm Terror claws and Tartaggle's butt plugs. I had to stop myself from saying child there, for obvious reasons. I also hold out for the hope that maybe one day we'll be able to get some crazy dream solvent upgrade where we can convert like 10 or some absurd number of another boss's material into a newer boss's material instead of just converting their own material into one of the other two. There's also minor details like Ascension Materials. I don't think it's too absurd to think that 100 is going to be some prestigious upgrade, and instead of going up relative to how like they have where you need like 45 Ascension Materials for 70 to 80 and then you need like 60 for 80 to 90, I imagine that we're going to need a lot more than maybe like 90 or some small increase from the previous tier. Are they going to make us get like 300? Maybe. Who knows? 999? Why not? Just imagine the sheer pain all the Mona and Klee mains will have to go through climbing over all the houses in Mondstadt, getting all of those Philanima mushrooms. As painful of an experience as that sounds, I would actually appreciate having to go back and farm some of these Ascension Materials again. Just brings you back to the beginning of the game, you know? Make you go out in the world and explore again. Maybe spam some people with co-op requests, joining the world, telling them you need their mushrooms. Then they can go to their Mondstadt and they can watch you crawl around all the buildings like some little red Skulltula. Skulltula? Skulltula? No, I haven't played Ocarina of Time in like 20 years. To cap this whole discussion off though, I'd also like to say, like, what if I'm wrong about crowns? Like, what if we need a crown for 11 and 12? Or even worse, more crowns. Like, what if it goes up like boss materials where you need one, but then you need two, and oh god, that would be hell. They just start giving out a hell of a lot more crowns than they do now. And even worse, we'd probably see those sons of bitches pop up in the frickin' Paimon shop. That would just, oh god, the negative feedback on that would be insane. It would make the anniversary look like a positive event. Anyway, do you think about this? Do you prepare for it like I do? Have you stopped doing a lot of the old weekly bosses like many people have? Around the same time this goes live, I'm actually going to put a community poll up on my community tab asking people about if they've continued to farm weekly bosses that they don't think they have any use for anymore. If you enjoyed this topic, maybe consider liking the video, subscribe to my channel if you want to see some more stuff like it, and a bunch of other stuff, because I'm a bit of a mixed bag. I do whatever I feel like. And liking, subscribing, commenting, and all that stuff, and supporting me on Patreon and stuff is what allows me to do whatever I want, and I appreciate it all. I thank you for being here and just putting that view counter up by 1. But thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.